also on Africa and our seeming lack of ability to come together as a continent to fight the issues that plague us. COVID-19 should be an opportunity for us to rally around and begin to think about being independent, really, truly. I mean, if you look at why the AU was set up, the AU was set up to bring total and complete liberation from colonization, way back in 1963 when the fight started. However, as we speak, it will interest you to know that 70% of the budget of the AU comes from donor funding. Thomas Sankara once said something, he who feeds you controls you. So if aid from the West and individual countries in Europe are the ones funding us as a continent, how will we ever become independent? Even the attempts to fund our own activities has not yielded any results. Why? Because some 3 years ago, when there was a move to try and find more independent ways of making some income to run the activities of the AU, it took us 2.5 years to finally agree as a continent, as member states, to agree on a way forward. The plan was to put some levies on hotels and airfares so that we can make some monies from that. There was also another plan to take some levies from eligible imports coming into Africa so that together, if everybody contributes something little, then we can fund the activities of the AU. Then we can own the agenda of the AU of total liberation. But it took us 2.5 years to make one decision. And following that, the organization itself has been pushed to make it a non-mandatory thing so that there's no decision binding on you as an African country to pay your levies. Even with the funding issue, about 40% of the membership of the AU do not pay their levies. The levies that are supposed to support us, because the AU has funding from two areas. The first area being donor and the other being levies from the African countries, individual countries. 40% of the countries are not paying because we have never made it mandatory, and we continue to run on that funding. Our glass and marble headquarters in Addis Ababa, beautiful edifice, was funded by the Chinese government that built this for $200 million. We couldn't have done that ourselves. Today, China has many roots in several parts of Africa. They said it was a gift to Africa. Now, how can this $200 million be a gift to Africa? And we find that you have several problems with the invasion of China, even though it should be a coexisting bilateral relation. What is happening is that they tend to have the upper hand because at the regional level, they have some level of control. So my question on a day like this will be, when will African countries take their destiny into their own hands? When will we achieve the total liberation for which the AU was put together? These are the thoughts that I think that we should begin to think about. Otherwise, all the talk shops that we've had over the years, and we have come up with several initiatives. These initiatives will continue to be null and void. Since 1980, I can run through a number of them for you. We've had the Lagos Plan of Action, the African Charter of Human Rights and People's Rights, African Priority Program Recovery, AU Declaration of the Political and Economic Situation in Africa. So many initiatives have come down, and we have signed. However, we are not able to fulfill the obligations within those initiatives. So are we truly independent? And how do we free ourselves from this so that we can actually push an Africa agenda?
Bishop, Selikem